What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Basara 2! So, we're done with another character. Time to move on to our next pick, which is Takanaka Hanbei. So, Takanaka Hanbei is the brilliant military strategist of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. And as we can see, he's quite powerful, and quite stylish at that too, so that's why we like him. Kind of. He's actually kind of a pain in the ass, but I think he's actually pretty fun to play as just because he's very fast, he's very stylish, and very fluent. He's a little bit on the frail side, but he can be very unpredictable. He is, I guess he's Dark Elemental, so there's that. I'm going to go ahead and set up his moves and everything. He doesn't have that many, but as you can see from the little preview window there, some of them are quite devastating. So, our first opponent is going to be up against the Azai faction, which is a new faction we haven't actually had the privilege of fighting yet, but I'll talk about them now. They're new characters for Basara 2 that were not playable in this version of the game, but they are playable in Heroes. So we'll address that when it comes to it. I need to get his setup ready to go. This is something you guys didn't get to see with the other characters, which items I have equipped on him. And again, I usually just pick the ones that increase the stats because really I don't know what any of the other items do because the game is untranslated. But when we get to Basara 3 and we're actually playing it in English, I'll be able to really customize my character with that kind of stuff, just because I will know the translations for what all those sub-items do. But it really doesn't make that much of a difference unless you're playing on the hardest difficulty, I feel like. Sort of like the... I'll talk about this more when we get back to Extella as well, but the passive abilities in that are very much the same way. So, the Azai faction, so their leader, Azai Nagamasa, is the general that we'll be taking out today. And he is actually married to Nobunaga's sister. We'll be meeting her as well. So those two characters are not playable here, but they will be playable in 2 Heroes. And they're quite interesting characters. So more about Takanaka Hanbei, I suppose. He reminds me a little bit of Griffith from Berserk a little bit, with his white hair and the way the face mask goes over his face and everything. And he has a very similar characterization in terms of he's a brilliant military strategist that can fight very well when it counts, but he has an Achilles heel and he doesn't like to show it. So they both share the similarity of they're very, very quick with the sword, but they're not exactly a heavy hitter. Takanaka Hanbei in the anime managed to assist Hideyoshi in crippling all his opposing armies from within by causing uprisings and kidnapping Kojiro, for instance, because a part of his brilliant military strategy was recognizing the importance of Kojiro, who was Masamune's brilliant military strategist. So by taking him out of the picture, he rendered Masamune pretty much useless because Masamune didn't know what to do with himself. Like, he didn't know how to lead his army without Kojiro's good judgment. So I mentioned before how Toyotomi Hideyoshi managed to get Masamune's army to split into 3 groups to handle insurgencies within his own kingdom, which is really what ended up putting him in a bad situation in the anime. Season 2 was so good. I really, the reason why I keep talking about the anime is if you guys have never watched it, just really sit through Season 1 as kind of background noise, because it's basically just a popcorn anime at best. But Season 2 is where it's at. So one thing you'll notice right away, we noticed it when we were playing as Keiji, I believe, is that Takanaka Hanbei has an ailment. He has an illness, and he occasionally will stop to cough up blood. So it appears that it's not fatiguing him too bad, except when it randomly sort of hits. So he's definitely very sick. You see this throughout the anime as well, where he'll occasionally just stop to cough up blood. He has that, his sword breaks up into sections that are connected with a chain, and so he has this sort of chain whip style attack, which is really cool and very unpredictable. I like characters like that when they go up against a normal sword fighting character, because you know they're just going to have an inherent advantage because their sword swings are unpredictable. However, obviously this type of thing would never work in real life, because Hanbei's sword, when it's retracted, looks perfectly normal, but there would be really nowhere for the chain to be stored when the links are attached, not to mention he couldn't guarantee that the blade edges would actually make contact if if all the sections separated like that. As you can see, his Basara attack is very devastating, where he sort of launches everybody into the air and slashes them repeatedly over and over again. His two secondary attacks we have right now is he sort of reels the enemy in with his chain whip, and then the other one is just the sort of flurry of slashes, which is really, really effective. It's probably my favorite move that he does. So I definitely like that. He reminds me. There's the chain whip right there. Kind of reminds me of a Belmont from a Castlevania game. Maybe he's Soma Cruz secretly. We'll just keep that in mind as we go forward. So, like I said, I really like that attack. It's very effective. I know it's a little too late to be putting any kind of critique on realism with Sengoku Basara with how over the top it is. But yeah, his chain sword would definitely not work in real life. That's needless to say. So I should talk a little about what we're doing on this map. So we actually have to go to each yellow X on the map and conquer that area in order to have access to the center where Azai Nagamasa is. And in order to do that, we have to fight the Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! I would get the theme song if I could find it. What is this? Oh, I love it. So, I'm not even going to try to explain this. We're literally fighting the Power Rangers now. So, the Azai faction has a squad of guys who are sort of like elite captain units that are color coordinated. So, it's obviously an homage to the sort of Super Sentai style shows in Japan, so I think they probably just threw it in there as a nice as an homage and as a cute, jokey reference, considering how it's just out of irony, because obviously there wouldn't be something like this in the Sengoku era, and their cannon just fell out of nowhere. What? What just happened? I don't even know anymore. So, a cannon dropped out of the sky, they got on it, shot at me, and then the cannon blew up and they all died. Good job, Power Rangers. Although, honestly, if you look at Hanbei and Hideyoshi, they look like Power Ranger villains. So, well, the Power Rangers jokes will continue when we get into... when we actually get to play as Azai Nagamasa in Basara 2 Heroes. So I really do like... Oh, his Warriors of Justice is what he refers them as, especially in English. So Nagamasa has this persistent need to remind us that his clan is righteous and just, and his warriors are, for justice. So that's his reoccurring joke, and we'll comment on that more again when we see him later. So we've actually got to fight him and his wife Oichi, who, again, this is going to be a controversial decision on our part because, obviously, she is Nobunaga's sister. And we'll be talking a lot more about her later on because she is one of the most interesting characters in Basara and one of my favorite female characters by far. And her relevance to the plot, not only in the game but in the anime as well, is pretty significant. So, we'll comment on that when we have a better opportunity to, but unfortunately we have to take her out for now. I'm sure she'll be fine. She's been through worse, trust me. So, I do want to take out all these command units that are coming out of the walls at the side here. Thankfully, we're much more powerful than these two, so I'm not especially worried about it. We can fill up our gauge pretty quick and then just go ham on them with the Basara attack. And as you can see, Nagamasa's not doing too well against us right now. Nagamasa has a few interesting attacks. He's a sword wielder about the same. He has about the same size sword we do. He's pretty fast. He's got an interesting moveset, although he doesn't really. He's also light elemental, obviously, so he sort of hard counters us in that regard. But we have it all taken care of. We're not really worried about it at all. Oichi, I think, is already taking a nap, so we won't worry about that. She is darkness elemental, definitely. And she has a double-bladed Naginata, I think is what they're called, the Japanese polearm. And I believe she can separate it into two halves and use it that way. It's a very interesting weapon. It does remind me of... It's basically Matsu Maeda's weapon on crack. And it's quite nice in that regard.
私は間違っていない。
Alright, that wasn't too hard at all. Good job, Hanbei. You've proven yourself useful.